When you're listening to a podcast or an audiobook, how do you take bookmarks? How do you make sure that you know where to come back to? And then specifically while you're driving, because a lot of at least audiobook, there's a way to bookmark. When I am driving and listening, I do that triple tap on the back of my phone, which I have set up to take a screenshot. You can do that on Apple. I'm not sure about Android. You can set up those shortcuts. And there was one book where I was taking so many bookmark screenshots that I was like, I just need to get this book. I need to get this book in paper so that I can take notes and so that I can go back to all of these important points. And that is the book that we're talking about today. We're talking about Super Gut. Welcome to the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. This is where you will find clarity and simple, sustainable strategies to feel better. I want to help you figure out your root causes. My name is Esther Youngkin. I am a registered nurse. I spent about 17 years in the emergency department, and then I got sick and tired of putting Band-Aids on chronic things. I went back to school, and now I have been in holistic health education for about 10 years. I know how exhausting it is to live with fatigue, brain fog, and the ups and downs of Hashimoto's. And that is why I'm here. I'm here to cut through the confusion and to give you practical steps that support your body, calm your immune system, so that you can regain your energy and feel like yourself again. So like I said last week, these 2 episodes before Christmas are going to be about the 2 most impactful nonfiction books that I read in 2025. Every single year, I read a ton, and my goal is that about a quarter of what I read will be nonfiction. So I read about 130 books total. I did hit my goal of 1 quarter being nonfiction, and my top 2 books are Super Gut, which we're talking about today, and Good Energy, which was last week's episode. Before, though, I talk about Super Gut, I do want to mention the Holistic Hashimoto's program, because you might have heard on the pre-roll, the little ad before the episode, I am closing it at the beginning or at the end of this year. So the Holistic Hashimoto's program is going away at the end of December. Yes, in 2026, I will be launching something new, something different. I'm not going to leave you hanging because I know that women with Hashimoto's, they're sick and tired of guessing, of trying everything, of still not feeling like themselves. I know that there's so much conflicting advice out there, and it's confusing, it's discouraging, it's overwhelming. So I created the program so that people would have an exact plan, so that in the first part, in the first hour, you will figure out your root causes. It's common sense based. And I will explain that in the course. You can get just the first hour. That is the Holistic Hashimoto's mini course, and it is the root causes revealed. You can get just that first hour. But the full course, the full program, is only $197 right now. Like I said, closing at the end of December. And I actually take you by the hand and we walk through resolving or addressing each one of the root causes that you are struggling with. Because I know that addressing your Hashimoto's, addressing your brain fog, your metabolism, your feeling cold all of the time, your lack of motivation, your flat mood, I know that addressing that, it's not a lack of effort. It's not a lack of willpower. You just feel stuck and you've tried so many things. So I created the program actually out of my own need. I feel like a lot of creators, that's where the things come from. And that's exactly where this podcast and my program came out of. When I was trying to figure out what was going on in my life, I was confused, I was overwhelmed. I went to the chiropractor, and thankfully I have a really good chiropractor, and she figured it out right away. Let's do some thyroid labs, including the antibodies. And so within, a week of meeting with her, I knew my diagnosis. I knew my hypothyroid. I knew my Hashimoto's. Those are 2 different things that you need to know. A lot of women know that they're hypothyroid, but their doctor never goes deeper to say, why are you hypothyroid? Oh, you actually have an autoimmune condition. Your immune system is attacking your thyroid. So you have Hashimoto's, not just hypothyroidism. So that is one step that is missing. So number one question, can women with hypothyroidism take this program? Can you go through this program? Absolutely, yes. You can. I would do talk about labs. And in 2026, one of the things that I'm going to integrate into the new offer that I have will be actually doing the lab work. And I'll explain more in the new year. I'm still trying to get all of that settled and in place so that it is super, the goal is drop dead easy for you. We need to have things super simple when you're dealing with brain fog. But anyway, when I was, going through all of this, then I got my diagnosis and I had nowhere, I didn't know what to do. I was so confused. And then, like I said, everything online, that people are directly contradicting each other in what to do. So I went through everything with my lens of being trained for 2 years as a nurse holistic educator. It is a program that I went through specifically for nurses. So they're trusting that you have 4 years of school behind you and that you've already been practicing as a nurse. And then they teach you to apply that to holistic education and looking at research and figuring out body, mind, spirit, diet, environment, how everything is connected and how to apply all of that to the specific situation that somebody is in. So I did that. And that is how I came up with the holistic Hashimoto's program. So Hashimoto's, it's not just about the thyroid, it's not just about the labs, it's everything working together. So if you have been curious, if you're looking at this program, if you've thought in the past year, oh, I really should do this is your time because it is going away at the end of December. Obviously, it will stay open for everybody who enrolls through December 31st, but enrollment will end on December 31st. So if you've been curious, head over there right now. Link is down in the show notes, of course. If you're already in the school community, you can click on the classroom tab and you can enroll right there. If you want to use your FSA or HSA money for people in the United States who have an account like that, you can. If you're going to use that money, you have to go through my website, not through the school payment. SKOOL. Our Health with Hashimoto's group is in there, and you can just purchase the program right through that classroom tab, but not if you're going to use your HSA or FSA money. Then you need to go to my website and purchase that way. So I want to invite every single person listening. Your time is valuable. I absolutely know that. And that is another reason why I created this program, because sorting through everything and then the trial and error, when you have more error than actual success, it feels like a waste of your time and it feels like lost hope. At least that's what it felt like for me. Like, oh, I get my hopes up. I'm going to do this thing and it's going to work. And then I do the thing and it doesn't work. And I was like, oh, there went my hope. So the program is designed to save you time, is designed to save you hope so that what you do actually works. All right, link down in the show notes, or if you're already in our school community, head to the classroom tab and you can get started today. All right, let's talk about Super Gut. I have to share a funny story. So I was taking all of these screenshot bookmarks, and then I requested the book from the library because I'd already paid for it on audiobooks.com. So I wanted to not pay for it twice. I know some people do, but it was available from my library. So I put it on request, went to pick it up when it was there. And as I was driving from my house out in the country to the library, I could hear this weird noise coming from under the hood of the truck I was driving. And I was kind of freaked out. I was like, okay, it sounds like, at first I thought it sounded like a mouse. And then as I got closer to town, I was like, it sounds bigger than a mouse. I've had a mouse under the hood before, and it sounds bigger. So I got to the library, went in, by then I'd forgotten about it, went in, got my book, came out, put the book in the cab of the truck, and then I was like, oh, that noise, I hear it again. So I opened up the hood, I popped the hood, and I was really nervous going over there because I didn't know what I was going to find. We have had rats in the past in our chicken coop, and I thought we had gotten rid of them, but that sound, it was bigger than a mouse. So I really wasn't sure what I was going to find. I opened the hood of the pickup truck and there was a chicken. There was a chicken sitting on the engine of the truck. She was fine. She hadn't been injured. She just found a nice place to perch, I guess, on top of the engine under the hood. So it was just so funny. Like, you drive into town and there's a chicken under the hood of the truck. That has nothing to do with Super Gut, with the book, other than the fact that it will always remind me of that chicken because when I went to the library to get the book, I had a chicken under the hood of the truck. And if you follow me on Instagram, I am pretty active in my stories. I try to post at least a couple stories every day, and that was in my stories. It actually might have made it to my regular Instagram feed because it was just funny. All right, so finally to the book Super Gut. In the next couple months, I will be having an interview about every third week, and you will hear a lot of the experts coming onto the show talk about the importance of healing the gut. I did not know that this was going to be the theme before I started recording all of these interviews. I think I've recorded 6 or 7 so far, and no matter what their specialty, whether it's teens and kids with Hashimoto's or fertility and pregnancy and Hashimoto's, or whatever it is, they all talk about the gut. So when I read Super Gut, I was like, yes, this absolutely applies. And one thing that caught my attention, I highly recommend getting the book, whether it's an audiobook or the physical copy. Get the book. It's so good. One thing that caught my attention was the mention of SIBO and SIFO, because he said both SIBO and SIFO are very, very prevalent in people with autoimmune conditions, which of course Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition. Let me tell you what SIBO and SIFO are. SIBO is SIBO. It stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So this is bacteria that should live in your colon, in your large intestine, way down towards the bottom, but they have migrated up and now they're in your small intestine and they should not be there. And when they're in the wrong spot, they cause problems. SIFO is very, very similar, except instead of the B for bacteria, you have the F for fungus. So it is small intestinal fungal overgrowth. Again, things that properly are in your colon, your large intestine, and they have migrated up, and now there is too many of them in the small intestine. So it's not good. These are some of the things that it causes: aches and pains, bowel urgency, or constipation. And just like that's a result, it can also be a cause. So you have this chicken and egg thing going on. Food intolerances and allergies, also chicken and egg thing. It can be a result of SIBO and SIFO, or it can cause SIBO and SIFO. One symptom is skin rashes. One result, if you have SIBO or SIFO, is a lot of brain stuff. You can feel socially isolated. You can feel hatred, which is so mind-blowing, right? Your gut microbes are responsible for some of your emotions. One specifically, when you have this in SIBO or SIFO, it can cause feelings of hatred towards others. When you fix it, and specifically with one probiotic, it reverses that and it increases feelings of love and connection, which it just blew my mind. I'm sure I took 2 or 3 screenshot bookmarks when he was talking about that section. It can also cause insomnia, and it can cause anxiety and depression, and it can alter or cause failure for nutrient absorption. All of that as a result of the microbes being in the wrong spot. And that's not even talking about the leaky gut issue. Everybody with an autoimmune condition is assumed to have some leaky gut until proven otherwise. And leaky gut means think of a mesh. A screen on your window. The screen on your window is supposed to keep the mosquitoes and the flies and the wasps out, right? Well, some things, like the little no-see-ums and the gnats, can still get in because they're small enough to go through that screen. That's like your gut. Your gut is supposed to keep the food particles and a lot of the bigger stuff out of the rest of your body, but it's supposed to allow the nutrients to pass through. Well, sometimes the little holes in your screen or the gaps in your gut, they get too big and they let in or out the wrong things. So for a while, we had a cat who would push out on the screen and she jumped from the second floor a couple of times. We screwed it in, but we got some holes in the screen. Well, then the wasps were getting in. Well, I don't want that. I don't want wasp stings. That's a danger. Same thing with leaky gut. If you have leaky gut, the holes get too big and food particles can go from your gut into the rest of your body. It can go into your bloodstream. And then your immune system so wisely says, this is not supposed to be here. We need to attack it. Just like we would attack a virus or a bacteria, we're going to recognize it. We're going to mount a defense and we're going to try to destroy it. What is that called? An allergy, or an appropriate response to a bacteria or virus. Your body recognizes it and then gets rid of it. But when that happens as a food, now your body is trying to destroy that food every time it enters, which means now you have a food allergy or intolerance. That can be one. So leaky gut can be a cause of food allergies or food intolerances. It also has a lot of other effects. So we want to heal and repair leaky gut. We want to make sure those gaps are tightened up, just like the screen on your window. We want to make sure all of the holes are repaired. So yes, leaky gut is one issue, but all of that SIBO and SIFO stuff, that's not even related to leaky gut. There's so much gut-related stuff that is just impactful everywhere in your health. Your gut is responsible for your immune system. 70 to 80% of your immune system resides in and around your gut. We have to look at healing and repairing the gut as part of any autoimmune protocol. Your gut is also responsible for a lot of your hormones. And what is one thing that people with Hashimoto's experience? Hormone problems. I mean, your thyroid produces thyroid hormone. And also, a lot of women who dealing with Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism are also trying to figure out menopause or perimenopause and a whole bunch of hormonal stuff. What's really common in hypothyroidism? Depression and anxiety. And what are those related to? The gut. There's so many things that your gut is responsible for. So the book Super Gut doesn't just tell you about gut function and what's there, and it doesn't just talk about SIBO and SIFO. It talks about a ton of stuff, but also he gives you very simple and doable remedies. So when he's talking about like helping SIBO and SIFO, he's like, here are even specific products, not just, yes, he talks about how in general, but then he said, here are specific products. And then he doesn't just talk about products, he teaches you how to make your own. So one thing that I had on my Christmas list was a yogurt maker, because he says that when you're incubating, when you're fermenting these yogurts, the dairy products or non-dairy, if you let it go for 12 hours, it produces, X number of bacteria. But if you let it go for 36 hours, it's going to double twice in that time. So if you want to get the most of these beneficial bacteria so that you can repair the microbiome of your gut and that you can help even heal and seal the gut lining from leaky gut, like this is how you do it. These are the exact things, the exact microbes that you want to look for as far as probiotics. And then he gives you the exact step-by-step on how to make those in an instant pot or a yogurt maker or on the stovetop and then incubating in your oven. He teaches you how to do it. I love both Good Energy, the book I talked about last week, and Super Gut. I feel like if you put these two books on your pile, your wish list or whatever for next year's reading, you're going to learn so much. You're going to be able to turn your health around. And of course, before the end of the year, you want to get into the Holistic Hashimoto's program so that I can take you by the hand, shortcut all of the learning, all of the work, all of the research, all of the trial and error. I can take you by the hand and help you do what's going to work for you, for your specific root causes, so that you can feel like yourself again, so that you can get better energy, you can banish your brain fog, you can help your hormones balance out. We're going to tackle all of it, and that's inside the Holistic Hashimoto's program, which closes on December 31st. Next week, I have a guest for you. It'll be Christmas Day, and our guest is going to talk about kids and Hashimoto's, because those 3 Ps where people typically develop Hashimoto's is puberty, pregnancy, and perimenopause. I have not talked about that puberty spot very much on the podcast. So the guest next week is going to talk all about kids and teens and what you can do. And yes, he absolutely talks about gut health. I'll see you next week. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please discuss any changes with your trusted healthcare provider. To take your next step, join our school community and explore the courses available there. You do not have to figure your health out alone. So that is school, SKOOL.com, and it is the Health with Hashimoto's community. I'll see you next time on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast.